Welcome back to the Toon Chat podcast. I am your host, as always, Coleslaw. It is now December, meaning not only is the year coming to a close, but so is the Toon Chat. It's been an awesome journey this year, but we are now officially in the home stretch. And speaking of home, that's what this final podcast is all about. I grew up in the great eastern shore state of Maryland, home of the crabs, the birds, and the coolest state flag. Like, you can't even debate that. But what Maryland also has to its name are 3 cartoons, all of which are located in Maryland in their shows. So, without any further ado, I'm going to break down those 3 shows and explain just how Marylandy they actually are. The first Marylandy show I'm going to talk about here is none other than Craig of the Creek. This might just be one of the most obvious Maryland cartoons out there, as you could just Google TV shows set in Maryland, and look, there it is, right there. And that is because this show is not only inspired by Maryland, it is set in Maryland itself, in a town known as Hercleton. Go ahead and go into Google Maps right now and try and just search up Hercleton, because you're not going to find it, because it doesn't exist, but it does in the show. Hercleton is based upon the very real city of Olney, Maryland, which is only a hop, skip, and a jump away from Columbia, Maryland, which you'll hear a little bit later in the video. The show heavily features the many swamps, marshes, and creeks that Southern Maryland provides, and I am very familiar with. Now I'm just going to keep things rolling with the second cartoon here. This is the one set in Columbia, Maryland, and that is OKKO. There are just so many little bits and bobs of this show that you can find references rooting back to the city of Columbia. For example, the creator of OKKO, Ian James Cordy, grew up there. He went to Long Reach High School, also located in Columbia. Isn't that nifty? And look here, there's even a line from an article from the Baltimore Sun talking about Ian James Cordy's inspiration for the animated show. Pretty cool. Even the roads and streets match up with real life, as you can see from this picture here. Route 175 is indeed found in Maryland, as it spans below the city, and it's in this show as well. Now I'm already going to jump into the third cartoon here because I want to talk about what happened last month because it was amazing. But the third cartoon is none other than Steven Universe. I've talked about this show so much on this channel because I love it so much, but it is actually set in the fictional coastal town of Beach City, Delmarva. Now, while Delmarva isn't really a state in real life, it does exist as a term for the peninsula made from Maryland, Delaware, and Virginia shorelines. So Steven Universe is technically set in Maryland, sorta, kinda. However, I am about to prove that the location of Delmarva is based on Maryland in particular, and not those other 2 not as good states. And all the answers can be found in this singular scene. Give it a watch and see if you can spot why this is all Marylandy. Oh, did you see that? Look closer at this fridge right here. See that fish stew pizza card? The number on it starts with 443, an area code that corresponds with Maryland. I know that because it's my first 3 digits in my phone number, so isn't that pretty cool? The Virginia and Delaware have totally different area codes, so this is indeed set in Maryland. Bada bing bada boom. The fact that Beach City is the same area as where I grew up just makes me the happiest little boy ever because I love the show so much, and it's where I grew up. It's like fate. And also, Rebecca Sugar, creator of the show, grew up in Silver Spring, like an hour away from my house, so maybe I'll go visit her place one day, who knows. So yeah, it really is crazy how all 3 of those great cartoons, all the creators grew up within like an hour of me. Isn't that just wild? It's also pretty wild how they're all Cartoon Network shows. Maybe that's my fate. Anyways, let's get to everyone's favorite segment. What the dump happened last month. And oh boy, last month we got the long-awaited return of one of my top 3 favorite shows of all time, Season 4 of The Dragon Prince. Let's go. I was so incredibly hyped for this new season, and well, it had its good parts, but it also had its meh parts. So, with the notes that my girlfriend and I collected, let's do this Yoshi style with some Love Me or Love Me Not, shall we? Now to start on a positive note, we'll start with the I love you, and that is the brother upgrade. This new season provided us with a 2-year time skip, and that time skip treated Callum and Ezrin very well. They both had roles in which they grew into super well, Callum growing into his mage knowledge, as he appears to practically be a Sky Arcanum expert at this point, and Ezrin looking a lot more comfortable as King of Catullus. Ezrin probably received the most apparent physical glow up, and you just can't help but be proud of the kid. So you just gotta give an I love you to those two characters, they're so great. But an I love you not's gonna be handed out to another protagonist here. And that is because Rayla's behind the scenes whole narrative, I didn't love. Rayla's character is one of the more interesting and complex of the bunch, but she's frustrating as well. She's constantly fluctuating on her mindset of what she wants and how she feels, and that continues here into Season 4. The reason why there are so many holes and question marks with her character and the decisions she ends up making is a good deal because of her off-screen story beats. Now there are 2 100% canon Dragon Prince graphic novels, as well as a third one on the way. 2 of those will be fun stories of some of our favorite characters from their childhood, but Through the Moon directly follows the events of Season 3's finale, and it heavily ties into what we see in Season 4, especially with Rayla. Her whole entire running away arc is explained in the book, so if you don't own that, you're kind of in for a surprise. While surprises can sometimes be good, this is kind of an annoying one. And then back to another I love you with the Callum being taken over by Erebos scene. This is an absolutely fantastic scene we got from the new season. I'll play it on the screen now in all its glory. What makes the scene so great, besides the beautiful animation you can see, is Erebos has reached a new level of just how threatening he is. This is his first time really speaking to our main cast of characters, and he exposes everyone right on the spot with his words, then he uses his actions to do this to Callum. You really are holding your breath through the entire sequence, and this, alongside Claudia and Ibis' fight, make for the best scenes of Season 4 by far. And now I gotta point out an I love you nod, and that is that this season's not as eventful, it's obviously some build-up. Now while this season did have those 2 super good scenes, the 9-episode season as a whole did appear slightly lackluster in my opinion. Now that was bound to happen to at least some extent due to the fact that this is following the incredibly grand and eventful Season 3 finale. It's sort of similar to Season 1 in the sense that Season 1 was a lot of setup, and this season's a lot of build-up. Which I understand, and it's fine. I'm not going to gripe too much on this aspect of everything, but I'm still going to have it here as a love you not. But something I do love is the introduction of Terry, and especially his final influence on Claudia. And now Claudia for sure earns the award for most improved character in this new season as she becomes a lot more interesting, passionate, and powerful. And not to mention evil and ruthless. Her best scene is when she tricks Rayla with the coins. She seems almost unredeemable in that scene if it weren't for a new partner in Terry. His introduction is very welcome, and his character, being an elf, and a very calm one at that, makes for some really good contrast. So while it's great that we have that new relationship along with this other one here, Raylan doesn't exist, and that's definitely I love you not. Due to Rayla leaving for 2 literal years, Raylan doesn't exist anymore, it crumbled apart, and that makes me so sad. Callum and Rayla are one of my personal favorite couples from any cartoon ever, and to see them basically avoid each other this whole season was pretty upsetting. Now, am I concerned that these 2 won't end up happy together in the end? No, I have faith, but still, some of my favorite moments of the entire Dragon Prince franchise are Raylan kisses and awkward romance fluff. But I suppose I'll just take what I'm given. And I want to end on an I love you. We gotta end on a good note, so I'm gonna talk about just how much love that Netflix is giving for animation. Netflix greenlit The Dragon Prince for 4 more seasons following the Season 3 ending, meaning we'll get 7 whole seasons of this incredible show. It is so very nice to see a streaming service appreciate animated TV shows to this extent, especially since other streaming services care very little about cartoons. It's great that Netflix doesn't follow that path that all animated shows are for babies and they won't care if we remove them all from our service. So keep it up, Netflix. We love to see all the animated content. So overall, I'm not unhappy with the season 4 of The Dragon Prince. Do I think things could have went in better directions? Yeah, probably. However, I have not lost hope at all in this show. This new season still delivered in many great ways. And you best believe I'm going to be just as hyped for season 5 whenever that makes its premiere. Oh, and by the way, season 2 of Inside Job came out and it was so much better than season 1. Go watch that too. But unfortunately, I don't have time to talk about that amazing season as the Toon Chat podcast is reaching its end. Thank you all so very much for watching this year's dive into my dozen cartoony podcasts. I have a number of cartoon raps planned for 2023, so stay tuned for those. But until then, I'll see ya.